Now we're going to step into DNA for life. Everybody got your tackle box out? We're going fishing with Emily.
Fishing with Emily.
How many of you ever been fishing before? What kind of fishing would you do, or have you done? Mark?
Oh, I don't really catch fish. I just usually call it boating.
Okay.
There's a fine line.
Got it?
But it's just, panfish, bass, that's about
Okay.
it.
Yvonne?
When we were kids, we had a cottage in Wisconsin right in the Rock River, so we would just fish for, I don't know, whatever was in there.
Whatever was there? Right, right. Joe?
Night fishing.
Night
It's
fishing.
the weirdest thing to do, because you can't see anything.
Right.
And if you do see, you just blinded yourself with your flashlight or your lantern or whatever, then you're useless for a little while.
Right.
So you learn all kinds of things about how to rig equipment so little bells go off if the line gets tugged and things like that, and yet you want to listen all the time, and it just improves all the other senses.
So,
If you're effectively blind for the time you're there.
so you're creating systems to help you with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the last couple of months, I've been leading you through the natural laws as illustrated by my family's fishing trips. Here's a photo of the kind of bluegills that we used to catch in Minnesota. The rule was if you could touch fingers around the fish, you couldn't keep it. It was no longer a keeper, so you had to throw it back. Obviously, my dad, bigger hands, he caught bigger fish than I did. But this is my now 32-year-old college professor when he had the first one of the, messes of fish. So we'd catch these fish, we'd clean them to prepare them to eat. And how you do that is you fillet them. So you take the meat off the bone and, everything else is trash. If you think about how a bluegill is basically the size of your hand, and there's a significant part that's the head and the tail, the part that's left for meat is pretty little. So it would take a lot of bluegills to feed our family. When my grandfather would take all of us little kids out in the rowboat with the cane poles, he in effect had employees that were working to put food on the table. He saw that lake as a wall of opportunity. However, we were living by the roller coaster principle because some days we had great luck and other days we caught nothing. Our results were inconsistent. Now, imagine a larger fish like a bass. So see, it's a little larger, it's a little more significant. This is a fish that's prepared in the same way. It's, obviously it's more significant, bigger. It gives you a larger piece of meat. Here's a picture of me with a northern pike. Now that's a significantly larger fish. The difference,
you are.
it is. The difference is they're slimy, so they're difficult to hang on to. They have little tiny Y bones, so they're difficult to clean, and you don't get all the bones out when you are cleaning them, so eating them is a little bit more precarious situation. A lot of people don't really like food, like the meat as well as some of the panfish or some other fish. But if you think about that larger fish, it seems like a more efficient way to feed your family. You can get maybe 4 pieces of meat off that fish instead of the little tiny bluegill portion. So when we were going to Minnesota, there was a woman who vacationed up there with us. She lived in a Airstream trailer on the back of the property, and she didn't get up at the crack of dawn and go out and cast for bass like we did. We called her the walleye lady because she would go out near dusk and work for walleye, which is a little smaller fish than a pike, but it's easier cleaning, and a lot of people say it's I see Joe's head bobbing, it's a more tasty fish.
Yes, it is, and they're big.
Yeah, and it's big. So she would go out and troll near dusk, and sometimes she would do what Joe was suggesting. She would go out at night and she'd shine a light into the lake, and it would attract the small fish, and then the predator fish would come and catch the big guys, or get the little ones. She would come in from the lake very late at night, but we'd go in to the boating house or the fish cleaning house the next morning real early and get our minnows, and then we'd peek in the entrails bucket and we'd see what she had caught the night before. And so, so there was this jealousy or this envy about, her efficiency and her ability to catch these great big fish. She was able to feed, herself with one fish, maybe even half a fish, while we had to catch that great big mess of fish to feed the family. So we asked her to show us what she was doing. We were living the see, understand, do principle. The walleye lady took my husband and me out on a late afternoon. She showed us which parts of the lake to troll. She explained how we had to rig our lines with a weedless hook and a leech. And then we'd cast it out and we'd let it sink all the way down to the bottom of the lake. And the boat, as we would troll, would pull the line along the bottom. Now, here's where the real skill comes into play, because you've got your pole, you got your fingers on the line, and you're feeling the line vibrate as it's moving along the bottom. But you have to determine, does it feel like it's brushed past a weed, or does it feel like it's the small, slight tug of a fish kind of slurping it in? I mean, seriously? It's a huge skill. And this is where, 10,000 hours to become an expert becomes evident. The walleye lady had spent hours, and summers, years, out on the lake to perfect her craft. For us, this is where the teenage principle came into play. We thought we could do something we didn't do. We were overconfident when we shouldn't have been, and underconfident when we should have been confident. The whole idea behind catching walleye is efficiency. Putting less effort into feeding the family. Probably my husband, Mr. Vacation Fun, thought it would free up more time to go to the water slide or the go-kart track. But of course, we didn't catch walleye. When we went out later, dusk, clouds of mosquitoes descended on us. I was too busy swatting the mosquitoes to pay attention to the vibrations of the line. The exact location that the walleye lady had told us to troll, it looked different in the dusk and in the dark. This was hard work. And it was boring hard work because we had nothing to show for it. We still were in that teenage principle, lacking the right actions in the right way over the right period of time. So it was so frustrating. Who knows the 3 elements of frustration? We work less. We care less. We lower expectations. I didn't care about those walleyes.
I eat it with a hammer.
I didn't like the way they taste. Maybe I didn't even really want to go to the water park or the go-kart track. We didn't have the knowledge, we didn't have the hope, and we didn't have the passion of the walleye lady. Have you heard of the concept that to be a successful gardener, you have to think from the point of view of the plant?
Yes.
I think a successful fisherman thinks from the point of view of the fish. I imagine those bluegills as the amiable expressives of the lake, swimming around in a school, looking for a great place to eat, attracted to the bait that's hanging down there from the bobber. Come on, Charlie. Hey, let's try this. Oh, where'd Charlie go? I imagine the walleyes and the bass and the northern pike as the analytic drivers of the lake. They're planning, they're calculating, they're always moving forward to accomplish their goal. They weren't fooled by that bait that I was, jerking through the lake with my swatting motions. It probably even smelled like mosquito, repellent. Somehow the walleye lady had learned to think from the view of the predator fish because she was successful where I wasn't. In business it's the same thing. We can employ an army of bobber fishermen, or we can spend a ton of time to bring home a mess of little sales. Or we can learn the skills and techniques that are needed to land the walleye-sized scales. We can generate more and better leads by asking great questions. We can live in the ideal versus nothing world and achieve nothing because it's not the ideal that we have in mind. We can set great goals and only achieve good results. Or We can approach our business as a wall of opportunity. No problems, only opportunities. We can put in the hours to learn our craft. We can participate in a mastermind to learn from others. We can utilize systems to create efficiencies. We can improve our focus and increase our consistency. In the end, however, we must never give up.